in Natick, and we welcome people now and people who tune in later to the July meeting of the FOSS user group in Natick, which is now all over the world. We hope you get a good signal, and we welcome you. Let me see. We have people who are presenting or tuned in, ready to present. And we have other people who are just listening on YouTube. I'll flag that in case you're in the wrong channel. Move across. And if you're listening in, we may start getting background noise, in which case we'll ask you to mute your microphone until it's your turn to speak. We're using Jitsi, and in Jitsi, you can raise your hand by tapping the R key, and we will see a signal that you want to speak. It's that simple. And you can turn it off again by hitting the R key one more time.
I'm going to test that. Okay, I just hit my R key.
And sure enough, I see several people signaling, yes, that they're interested.
I'm down again.
One person said
It works.
To speak. Charlie would like to speak.
Okay. Charlie, was that a test or would you like to speak?
You have to turn on your microphone.
You do have to enable your mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I was turning it off just because you and Jill were echoing, and I was wondering if I was causing that.
No.
So I turned my mic off.
But
You're not echoing now, so it's not my mic.
Even though we have
content because sit next to each other going on.
You are on your headset mic, Jill, right?
as far as I know. No, I turned off my microphone, but it's still echoing
Okay.
unless I turn off my speaker as well. But I thought the speaker was going to the headphones, so I don't know.
We'll find out. Okay. Anyway, for the people who are tuning in for the first time, we're talking about FOSS, free open source software. And why would you use FOSS instead of expensive software? Well, I just gave you one answer. It's free. If you are a programmer, you might use it because you get the source code and you can build other things or make that program better. That's a good reason to use FOSS. If you're not a programmer, you get that as a free ride. The programmers are doing it for you. They're updating the software all the time and spinning out even better software faster because they're standing on the shoulders of giants. Good argument. Another argument you might like is that you have literally thousands of programs at your fingertips without having to go to the store, and you can just download them immediately and start enjoying them. Some of them aren't that good. Some of them are great if you're an expert, and some of them will be just right wherever you are. Our group comes in handy for discussing some of those trade-offs and helping you find ones you like. So I hope there'll be a lot more groups like ours also. We're on once a month. You now know how to find us at NatickFOSS.org. I'm going to try something different this month, and I'll start now. I'm going to switch first to a presentation of my face. And here's one. I will switch to it, and I hope you will very shortly be seeing it instead of my face. Where are we at, Joe? I'm impressed, are you? Why not? It should have gone. Try again.
You have multiple
First.
Chrome windows open. Chromium.
I shouldn't yet. It should open a second one. I do not. So the D. Here we go. This time it'll work. And pretty soon now, it should kick in.
It did.
Good. And now for my second act, I'm going to put me in the lower right. And in a moment, with a little luck, good wind, and there I am. So I can talk. If I want to raise my hands in horror, you'll see me do it. But we can see other things for the main show. Now, the main show today, I don't want to do that. I want to do hunting around for where I'm going. This looks like about what I have in mind. And I think our introductory talk just got done that quickly, but under introductory slide talk, on the screen, you are going to, oh, I'm going to make a bigger arrow. That arrow is nice. Let me dodge to the side here. And I will choose a different cursor. I'll make it red, and I'll make it big. And we'll use that. I think it'll be easier to see. So here's my big red cursor. And down in here, the introductory slide talk is a slideshow that will be available for your use. When we post the final version of today's talk, which will probably be, if not, certainly by tomorrow. So just tune back to look for it at NatickFOSS.org. In addition to that, we're going to be talking a lot of topics today. And one of them, building on the introduction, is aside from money and power, what's good about FOSS? Well, I'm not just using FOSS programs. I'm using a FOSS operating system. So are most of the regulars in our group, because once they tried it, they didn't want to go back to Mac OS or to Windows. So you'll see me doing that also. Right now, I'm showing you my view of my operating system. On the left, I have what Ubuntu Linux calls the launcher. And in the launcher, I am currently looking at Thunderbird Mail. I'm looking at a message I sent to myself. I can click on its links and go places. But right now, and that's it. Here's Firefox. Here's the Chromium browser, which I'm using instead of Firefox, the actual broadcast. But I'll be leaning on Firefox too at the same time. And we have many other things in here, as many as like. They don't all have to be in the launcher. If I use something rarely, it might just live up in the dash, the top item in the launcher. If I click on that, I can type in anything I want and get it. It's on my computer. It'll go find it for me. And I could also, in a bar, in a little application, looks like you used to. And I can go in there. I could, for instance, say graphics. And here's that same chaos program. And I can find it here just as easily.
You should tell them that that's an add-on that you put in.
There are all kinds of add-ons. Add-ons for programs like Firefox, add-ons for the operating system, add-ons, programs, and I am running Ubuntu Linux, but Ubuntu Linux has a default user interface, what we call the desktop interface, or graphic user interface, and the one it comes with is called GNOME. A lot of different applications, a lot of operating systems use GNOME. I don't like GNOME as much as I like Unity. And you're looking at Unity right now on Ubuntu. I loaded it on, and that's where the launcher came from, and that's where this particular top bar came from. Now I've added a few nice little add-on tools. This one, for example, is watching my CPU. It's watching my,
That's the CPU.
let's see, wait a minute. This is the CPU.
Oh, yeah. That's the,
This is my memory in my computer, not used that much. You can see that the dark green is just a little bit I'm using now, and the light green is additional cache memory. I've been using it. I'm not using it. It'll swap out for something else if I need it. Until I need it, I can get back to that earlier thing quickly without reloading it. It's in memory. And the next one over is the internet. This is my different take on the internet. I've called it red to read downloads and white to write. And I'm doing both right now. And over on the far right, I can get additional information. We'll leave that to later. So the bottom line here is we have a lot of tools at our disposal, whichever ones you like best. And this should be set up to be better than Windows, better than Apple OS. You've got all the tools, you can mix and match them the way you like, or ask somebody else help. Jill and I run Miller Microcomputer Services, and during the rest of the month, we give that kind of help to people. Today, they're free. Other helpers are here for free, and we're just the shibbies. They're free, and we're sharing for free. So that's an intro. I mentioned Unity, the front end I like, and I'm going to hop right to something.
Algot would like to say something.
Oh, who?
Algot.
Just a minute, Algot. I guess I have to switch back. Do that. I switched back. Oh. Gotcha. Algot, what would you like?
Since
You're on.
since you went to doing the picture in picture, I have been having sound glitches, significant and continuous. I wonder if it's worth having that in there or if it's causing delays in the circuit.
Are they having the same problem?
I think what we're saying is it may be chewing up your bandwidth.
If you were, put a thumb up. Let's look here. Okay, I'm going to give up on picture in picture today, and we'll check it out another time. Just a minute. I to give it up. Whoa, not my solution. Okay, folks, that was not a win.
Reality is fractal.
Let's see, I can go all the way out. I'm going all the way out and back in. Maybe that will do the trick. Oh boy.
Now go back to your other page.
I want to mute it too.
Is your Firefox pointing to the meeting?
I'm trying.
Now you have- What are you doing? I'm clicking over there. Firefox.
Here.
Yeah, Firefox.
But I'm still in the corner.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting toward there. Now go back. And it's muted.
Well, I'm there.
Okay. How about if it's working there for
I think you are pointing
yes,
in your Firefox
Okay.
to the meeting, and you're getting cross between the real meeting
You can
view
see. I'm trying to
and the
close
Chrome
down Chrome,
meeting
open
view.
Chrome again.
You can't be looking at
I
the meeting
think I
in
just
Firefox.
unwound that.
You still in Chrome?
Just a minute.
So we're suggesting there's
Yeah,
feedback
that came
between Firefox
Good.
and
Picture.
Okay.
or crosstalk between Firefox and Jitsi.
Is that working? Thumbs up?
Maybe this will work. We'll see. Okay. I wanted to hop into the FOSS News and mention, excuse me. We never got the water. Oh, you did. Good. Not yet. Um, I want to mention that I was using Ubuntu with the Unity front end. This is news. As of a week or so ago, you can now download a version of Ubuntu that already has Unity built in. I'll click on it, see if we can work on that level. And about now. And this is an article that says it's wonderful. You can go back to the most efficient desktop ever created. It waxes eloquent. I happen to agree, but I'm not using that. I've added Unity to my straight Ubuntu. So 2 different ways to get there now. I wanted to mention this one while I was talking about Unity. So that's in the news. You'll be able to click on it and read it later. Back to where I came from with luck. Good. And Canonical is the company, big company behind Ubuntu Linux. Some versions of Linux have one person behind them. Some have large companies. Some are in between. And some are just volunteer groups, not a company, but also a large group of professional people. Interesting mix. The company behind Ubuntu is Canonical Limited. And Canonical has also done something related in the news. It's called the Ubuntu Appliance Initiative. And it's one of many types of convergence that are going on. You can use the internet, whether you're on Apple, Windows, Linux, not a problem. But most programs come so they are a problem. You need a special version for any one of those. And maybe you can't even get a special version. You need a different program doing the same job. Convergence pictures everything coming together. You can just run it. And this is a project to get Raspberry Pi small hardware boards running Linux and get them compatible with our PCs. Interesting project. So you can read about that. The techies will be interested to see what they can do with it. The others will be interested when it comes home to roost in a few years with interesting solutions. So it's hot off the press right now. It will be interesting. Also in the news, I threw in a local one, which is global and local. I like to use eBay when I go shopping online more than, for instance, I like to use Amazon. But something really bad happened with eBay a couple of months ago. And it happened to a couple right here in Natick. The couple runs a program, runs a website where they talk about eBay, what it's doing right, what it's doing wrong, what the latest tricks are. If you're an eBay user, you might value their website. If you're an eBay seller, you might value their website a lot. It tells you the part that eBay isn't explaining clearly itself anytime there's some puzzle. So it's good to know about. Well, they also complain about eBay features now and again. And 6 eBay executives took it upon themselves to give this couple hell. How much hell? Let's take a look. About now, surveillance, harassment, a live cockroach delivery, I kid you not. And U.S. attorneys have charged them. Massachusetts got in on it. And 6 eBay executives hit the streets immediately. They're gone. eBay apologized. I'm back to using eBay. But the story is pretty exciting. So you can read that one too.
And it turns out they live across the street from a really close friend of mine.
We have friends of theirs quite close, so we're hearing a lot about it. Interesting.
The release transcript seemed to indicate that unnamed executive 1 is still with the company.
The executives have been named, I believe, in the lawsuit now, which you can click on from there. And I'll mention that the couple wasn't named in most of it also, most of the early publicity at least. But I thought it would be nice to share their site, just what they want to do about eBay, shed a little light on it. And they're still there. Let's go find them. Here, down under Hot Internet, tracking eBay's international shipping programs. That's not their site. That's a recent article on their site. And it's coming up now. E-commerce Bytes is their site. And you can read all about it. I picked this article as being a typical interesting one for some of our users who are eBay users. Good group to know about them. I hadn't realized they were in Natick until the cockroaches hit the fan. Amazing. That's everything I have on FOSS News today. Let's move onward to FOSS History, the opposite of the news. Had a couple of really good ones. One is, what is Unix and why does it matter? I'll give you the first half of the story. Unix is what people were using back when they had to invent a wonderful operating system, because there really was none for a lot of the new computers coming out back around 1960, 70, 80, I guess. Quite a while ago. And particularly DEC, Digital Equipment Corporation, in our neck of the woods, came out with a bunch of less expensive mini computers. They still had terminals, and one computer running a lot of terminals, and they needed an operating system, and they spun out what eventually became Unix as more and more people added to it. Everybody could help. MIT could help, colleges around the world could help, other companies, MIT, IBM could help. A lot of places started pooling resources.
I think at the beginning, IBM was sort of who they were working against, and then they got
Yes.
them bandwagon.
Yes, this was a bandwagon that people got on bit by bit. And the Linux that we use this year is a spin-off of Unix. Linus Torvalds, who started Linux, was in Finland working happily in Unix on, I think, a VAX computer system at school. When home computers became affordable, he got an IBM PC and he wanted Unix on it. He ended up doing it himself with a lot of help. And that's still what's going on now. So Linux isn't exactly Unix, but if you know the one, you're 90% at home on the other. And that's the history of Unix, except for the details, which make it real intriguing. And it's coming up now. These are all things you're going to be able to do yourself. That's the kind of computer it would be running on. You'd be at a terminal on your desk probably, so you wouldn't see that, just the operators would.
That looks like a friend of ours.
We think we may know one of these operators. That's interesting. And
And
system operator, and probably one of the innovators. The other thing, which we're all dependent on, is the Unix philosophy. You create small pieces that hook together, and you build your project out of them. You don't invent everything all over again. You build faster and more sure and more secure and cheap, because you don't have to build a whole system to build a whole new idea. So that philosophy is very, very much with us. And it's all behind sharing efficiently. And I think if you don't know about Unix, you'll enjoy reading this article. If you do know about Unix, I guarantee you'll enjoy reading this article. Why does it matter? I just told you on about 5 different counts. Now for the flip side of the whole story, an article, and a pretty good one. 10 reasons why desktop Linux failed. Failed how? It doesn't fail me. It doesn't fail the International Space Station. It doesn't fail my digital wristwatch and probably yours. And it doesn't fail in the Android that's running on most of the smartphones out there. But it's
OS
failed to arrive on everybody's desktop. That's what failed. Desktop Linux didn't get to everybody. You have to know how, you have to have some help, or you have to be a hero and learn how to do it. It's not that hard, but it doesn't come with a box. Now you can buy some computers where it does come with a box. You can hire companies like ours that put it on the box, etc., etc. And by the way, it costs in the neighborhood of $200 for our professional assistants custom putting it on the box. So it's not that expensive when it might save you $1,000 on the computer that you buy. And that's something we do quite often. There's gives and takes on who uses it how. But this is a good article on the shortfalls for getting everyone into the Linux world. That may happen, and we're going to hit a few more reasons it may happen today. Let me skip.
We should mention that Mac OS is also Unix these days.
Which OS?
Mac OS 10.
Mac OS is built on BSD,
Which
is about as close to Linux as you can get. But,
BSD is actually
well, it also grew out of Unix.
BSD
But
is
it's close to
legally,
Linux.
BSD is legally licensed Unix. It is Unix.
Well, it's built on BSD all the same.
Yeah, I mean it's Darwin kernel, BSD plus the
we're talking
shell, but
we're talking about a family tree with multiple generations.
absolutely.
Yes, and yes.
But BSD is an important part of the true Unix family tree as opposed to the Linux-like family tree.
Correct.
The lawyers say it is Unix.
Something like that. Okay. I think some Unix people won't, but close. I'm looking for something. Bear with me. Bear with me. I'm looking for something here
Okay.
to finish a thought. And come on, it was another canonical one, but this one included Google. I got knocked off. I'll come back to it. Let's see. Jill, did you want to talk about
No, I don't know how to use those programs.
the next categories are less unique because hot software is going to include software for hardware, for specific hardware. Hot hardware is going to involve software. Internet might involve both, etc. But we'll hop around. I threw them where I thought they would make a good catch. The first one under hot software is 3 different approaches in one article. And all of them coming.
Close some of these other short back there.
All of them are for exploring Earth from your backyard. We have a garden. If you don't, you can still take a look at the sky. And what they're going to do is take a look at the part of astronomy that you can do without any expensive equipment at all, other than the computer you're running now. And they're going to talk about Celestia, a lovely program you run to learn where the stars are in the sky. Stellarium, my personal favorite, where the stars are in the sky. And by the way, in your yard at this moment, unless you want to set it for a different time or a different place. So it'll show you what you're seeing, and you can click on any star and read all about it. Very nice. And it will also talk about one more, which is much more technical. And so at every level of this game, this was a lovely article I recommend to you. And personally, I recommend Stellarium. I know some of the stars. I know how to do star navigation. But the hardest part is finding the North Star. It's not saying I know all the stars in the sky. Oh, I love Stellarium when there's something interesting going on. Yes, it will find the current meteor shower. Yes, it will find which planets are in alignment, etc., etc. Good stuff. Any comments on that topic? Okay. We mentioned Android, and so many people have an Android phone in their pocket, and some people are also running a version of Android on their computer. That's coming around too. But I thought this article would be very interesting to a lot of people. Your phone has a lot of extra stuff hiding in the buttons. And this article is on about 24 different settings, some of which you'll care about. Like that. So you will find a lot of quick answers, and I recommend that to you. This is a big one. Like the looking at the stars in the sky, it looks at patterns you're not going to draw. And no other artist is either. Instead of the universe drawing the pattern for you, your computer will. And let's take a quick look to start. Fractal images are based on mathematical formulas. And this is the forum. Move to a location, but it's an old forum. Used to be mathematicians talking with each other about incredible formulas that drew images like this one in the upper left. That's called a Mandelbrot fractal image. And it in turn increments, changing step by step 100 times or 1,000,000 times
So this is why
into additional fractals. These are all different images, and these are people who've been talking for decades and decades. In fact, before computers, for the first ones, on but not on this forum, of course, on how to design fractal solutions to mathematical equations. And it's a very lively field. That's swell for a fractal mathematician. What difference does it make, and who cares for us? The answer is 30 years ago, we were fascinated by what fractals could do on an IBM PC. We'd let the program run overnight, and in the morning, we'd have a beautiful, inscrutable pattern. And originally not in color either. We did it with a program much like Fractint. And Fractint is an update of that program. The black in the center of this illustration is that same Mandelbrot fractal. That's the most common one people start learning about. And you'll notice there's a lot of interesting pattern outside of it now. Things are going on beyond the pattern. This is designed to run Windows only. You can run it in Linux by putting in a Windows interface that allows Windows programs to run under Linux. Wine is the most common one. We now have dozens of options for doing this. I'll be mentioning one or two later. But it's still an old program. Goes a lot faster on a new computer. Next one is the one I prefer. Again, the X is pronounced Greek style, so it's pronounced chaos.
Chaos.
Chaos, says Jill.
Like Hanukkah.
It's all to me. And here is that same fractal. Getting fancier. It's in chaos, and it's there online. I think I want it online right now because of all of you leaning on the same connection with me. But it's featuring fast, fluid, continuous zooming. Zooming fractals are the new thing. They found ways to update only a tiny bit of the fractal pattern for each increment and to go much faster as a result. That plus the new computers and plus the new internet speeds allow us to give you an online version of it. You can run online in fast time and one you can install on your own computer. It's lovely. So that's one example of it. I'm going to go bring up mine instead. I think I can do it from here. All right. There's my version of it. That's the icon it comes with for chaos. And here I am. I opened it instantly. This is on my computer. The internet is getting it to you, but not to me. And in it, I'll click on Fractal. And in the fractal batch, I'll go way down to where I think it's going to say smooth. Oh, interesting. Um,
Probably up there under,
I thought it was under fractal.
why don't you move the whole window down so it doesn't have the Jitsi thing over it?
Why don't I just enlarge it?
Okay.
That's my computer's version of it, not the online one. And I'll just start here. Good enough. I'll just go anywhere in it I choose, but this will be kind of boring, and this is empty. So I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to click and hold. This is not as fast as I'd be running live. It's very close, and I don't know how smoothly you're seeing it.
Jerky.
Mine's a little jerky, and it wouldn't be if I didn't have you guys hanging on. And I'm going in and in and in. And if you look, you'll see there's some shapes like the original shapes inside, and some that aren't. And it keeps going and going and going. That's a fractal zooming program. We can now zoom on them, which we couldn't do back when. Lovely program. Well, that's one of maybe 100 different fractal types in this program, and you can do a lot of things with them. Have a ball. Chaos. There was another way in there. I'll go back to where I came from, I think.
You've left a lot of tabs open. They may be picking up.
Well, let me close a few tabs. She'll maybe right.
No, fix one's up here.
Okay.
Fractal forum 24 hidden whatever.
We've killed these. This. We're down to it right now. And stop for now. And this one I can close. Yes, I can. Okay, this one I think. Nope, not what I wanted.
How do you close this?
This is what I'm after. Not that one. Sorry. Oh boy. What did I do with this? Just close it?
Hey, we got another
Remember
fractal.
Yeah, you can
I do. That is a fractal, folks.
you do Alt tilde.
Wait a minute. What I want to do is get back to the other. It should be hiding in here. Did I close it when I didn't mean to?
Close what?
The main screen that I think. Maybe it's from here. No.
Here. What? Define main screen.
The archive window that I was clicking on.
It's in your email, I believe.
Yeah, I think it is. Thank you. And I'm getting drunk with power here. That's chaos. I like it a lot. But here's something better, or at least more so. Mandelbulber version 2. It's fractals. Click down a little to where they start talking about it. It's fractals gone 3D. Here, for instance, is some of what's going on. That's a 3D fractal. Those of you who haven't played with 3D fractals, all the same tricks and more, you're going to have fun. So that's fractals for the day.
Maybe I'll get it.
Say again?
You probably want to close the other chaos so that it's not using up.
Good idea.
Al could three
These
images.
are, by the way, look in the blue area on this image and see the different shadings. Same in the black to green area. There's a smooth control I was going to throw, which will smooth all of that. That's another of the many, many options. Good. Fractals, wonderful toy. Serious work for some mathematicians. While I'm in here, I will mention Wi-Fi repair in Ubuntu. Anytime you have a hardware problem on computer, whatever system you're in, you can generally go online and get help. This was a particularly nice article from a website that has a lot of nice articles. So I recommend it to you as a show and tell to get you back in when you have that question or a different question, and it's not just on Ubuntu. So take a look and take a look at the other attached articles. I think you'll like it for style and help. I'll mention one more thing. Alt-Control-Delete is certainly active on my computer. In Windows, it shuts down. But my Ubuntu is a version of Debian, the more general group of Linux that Ubuntu falls into. And when I hit Alt-Control-Delete, it logs me out, could log somebody else on. For instance, I could have permissions different for me and for you as a guest on my computer. And some people might like it the way Windows has it, to have it shut down when you hit Alt-Control-Delete keys together. This tells you how to do it, and it tells you two ways to do it, an easy way and a semi-programmer way. And I add a lot of things like that when I want to add a feature. So for instance, on my computer right now, I have a tool on it. I'll hit, of course I'll do it from the launcher. I have a tool, and the tool is hiding about here. It's called Workspace Switcher. If I click on it, this one workspace will dwindle down. And it turns out I have 4 workspaces in my computer. They're all separate from each other. I could drag an item from one to the other. I could have 20 windows open in any one of them, or each of them. And I can separate tasks and go back and forth without getting too confused by using them creatively. Right now, I only have my desktop wallpaper showing in the others. But the point is, I use a launcher tab to get there. It was calling an app. I can call the same app, and I will hold down my meta key, which you might call the super key or the Windows key if you're in Windows. And I'll do a meta S. And I'll see all 4 of those spaces either come or go attached to the keyboard. So there's a nice little article explaining that trick. I've explained it in the past, and there's another good article for it. The next thing on our tour for today is just a minute. Whoops. One of those will work. It's always the other one, isn't it?
First one. That one.
You sure, Joe?
No.
Second one? Oh, now we're in trouble. What did I do to get there? D. And Dennis, are you available for your talk next?
Sure.
Dennis? Good. Can you do it from your end, or do you need help from me?
I can do it from my end, unless I find that it
Okay.
doesn't work.
Okay, let me know if I should step in or when I can step in at the end, okay? Dennis Payne is about to present a newest toy for a game expert.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this here is Steam. It is not free software. Basically, what happened in games is that people started getting centralized systems that ran your store and would offer up more features. So I believe Xbox was the first one that introduced it, but PlayStation added it, and so did Steam. And what they did is they made it so that there is the task that you have in the game to complete. Like you just get a high score, or it may be to complete the whole game and free the princess or whatever. But there are other things that people have done over time. So you might decide to play a game and decide that, you know what, I'm not going to pick up that first weapon. I'm going to make it harder on myself by going over and playing the game without that weapon initially. And so what ended up happening is people created achievements to record this information. So I have 7 days to die. And so these are the achievements that I've acquired in the game. Some of them are
I hope that's a game name.
yes, it's a zombie apocalypse game. You have to, every 7 days, a horde of zombies come, and there are zombies throughout anyways, but the seventh day is a particularly bad day. But so I've gone over and gotten a whole bunch of achievements. But the problem is that open source software doesn't have this. You know, this is a product of the fact that Steam goes over and runs this, their website that does this. And because they are this huge store that a lot of game companies want to get their games on, they all want to add these features in. And so you get the same thing with PlayStation. They have their trophies for all the games that you play as well. So for a while now, I've thought about how it could be implemented with open source software so that you could go over and record achievements and people could see your achievements for open source games. And we don't have a central company that's running servers that could store this. And quite frankly, most open source developers don't want a central server to store that. The free game dev forum that I'm a part of set up a Hubzilla server, which is, it's like Mastodon and interacts with Mastodon. Whereas Mastodon is a social networking site that mimics Twitter. Hubzilla is a social everything site that includes a Twitter-like interface. So this would be my access to my Twitter, or my equivalent of a Twitter feed. This is running on a virtual box I have, so there's no content on it. But one of the things it has is it has these plugins that can do other things. So you can go over and store photos. You can have mail and stuff like that on here. And so I was looking at that and I said, what if you added a games icon? So give you a list of the games you've played and what trophies you've acquired in them. So after Liber Planet, I had mentioned it to some more people because I've mentioned it to people over time, and I finally decided to go over and implement it. So that led to the creation of Gamerzilla. And so right now most of this data here is, or some of this data is dummied up at the moment. So Angband and Ostrich Riders, they do not have support for Gamerzilla. That was just some test data I put in. And obviously the test game is a test program. But I added in support to Shippy 1984 and to Seahorse Adventures. So then you can click into the games themselves and see that I have defeated all of the jungle levels in order. And I'm started defeating the volcano levels. So I've done 6 out of the 9 levels. And then you could see a similar sort of thing with Shippy, where I've attained the marksman achievement and can still go over and get the chicken achievement where you don't shoot for a few levels. There's also achievements for defeating a certain number of levels. Right now, the way this works is kind of incomplete. These are all designed around there being some sort of game launcher. So you would have the game launcher where you'd configure how to connect to Hubzilla, and the game launcher would go over and listen to any games you play locally and send the information over to Hubzilla. Right now, there aren't any game launchers that support it yet. My plan is to add in support to a game launcher called Game Hub. So this is Game Hub. So the plan is to make it so that you can go over and this will go over and configure your Hubzilla information, so your login name, password, so that way you don't have to configure it for every single game. And then when you run Shippy 1984, it'll go over and send all of the data to Hubzilla. The plan is also so that it'll go over and it'll take this graphic here and display it up here for Shippy 1984. And ideally, I'd like it to also display some text about what the game is. So for example, for 7 Days to Die, it grabs information from the Steam to populate that. And I'd like it to do the same sort of thing for open source games. So that's the basic premise of it. Any questions?
I have a question. How much?
It's open source, so it's free.
Okay. So this is, I'm a little confused. Is this the GameZilla or is this the alternative?
So Gamerzilla is a couple pieces.
Interface.
So this is the web interface that there would be. So this would be hosted on your Hubzilla server. Right now, I don't know that any Hubzilla servers are using the plugin other than my test one. But eventually, I'd like to get people to start using it. And then there would be 2 pieces. So the games themselves have to be modified to support Gamerzilla. And there needs to be a game launcher. And so that's what Game Hub is. It's a game launcher. So this can be used for both closed source games and for open source games. There are other game launchers like Lutris, and Gnome Games is another one, although they focus on emulation. The reason I did this way is that you need to know the URL to your Hubzilla and your username and password. And so if there isn't a central game launcher that has that information, then you need to tell every single game developer, hey, add this feature into your program. Oh, and you also need this configuration screen. And so I think you're going to hit people saying, no, that's too much work. I'm not doing that. Whereas if there's something that all you have to do is add in what the achievements are and how to turn them on, which they're already doing for Steam anyways, I think there's less friction there. And so they're more likely to support it. And the ideal thing is to try to get commercial developers off of the Steam platform and onto this open platform.
So Steam is this is what I was trying to ask. There were two products. The for money one you were mentioning was Steam, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was trying to clarify. Thanks. And good luck.
Has anybody on Hubzilla given you feedback yet?
I've had several people say they like the idea. I haven't gotten much more feedback than that. I think it's one of those things, if I need to add support into a game launcher, which I've almost got up and running. And then once I do that, then it's a matter of saying, hey, I need someone to start testing this. And the free game dev forum that I'm a part of, which runs the Hubzilla that I'm on, they have said that they'd be willing to test it. So
you're building a community at this point.
Yep. Now, this isn't required to use Hubzilla. You could go over and implement it in other systems. Hubzilla is a fork of Friendica, so I think that you could implement a similar plugin there. Mastodon is much more geared as just an equivalent to Twitter, so there's no, I don't think there's a way that you could easily implement this on a Mastodon server, but it doesn't even have to be its own server. You could, or implement it in a social networking site. So you could go over and just implement a standalone server. And for those people who don't want their information online, as long as we build up support in, say, a game launcher like GameHub, then they'll be able to see their achievements and show them to people personally, but none of their data goes online if they don't want it to. Whereas with Steam, your information's on their servers. You can restrict access so that people you don't know can't see it, but the company running Steam still sees all that data.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Back to me. Thank you, Dennis. Let me see. Algod, is this a good time for you?
Very good for me.
Okay. Take it all away.
I'm getting Firefox. There we go. And I am not where I need to be quite yet, but here I am. As some of you have heard, I am working on making a guide to using the GNOME Ubuntu, and updated it from the earlier version of this so that it runs reflecting 20.04 Ubuntu. At the moment, I'm working on adding things that people have talked about off and on, one of which is getting an appendix of semi-advanced topics to go beyond the very basics that we had in the primary guide itself. I'm looking for feedback about several different topics Most of those feedback topics are listed in the table of contents. There's also a to-do page at the bottom of the table of contents. And I have begun work on the to-do items mostly as index add-ins. Desktop environments is the next one I'd like to tackle. I'm working on backup strategies, and I'll go back in a moment to talk about that. But as you look ahead, I would love to hear from as many people as are interested about your desktop environment, which is going to be different if you are not using the standard Ubuntu. Dick mentioned earlier that you can have the Unity desktop environment that you add or install. I currently use the desktop environment that is called Plasma from KDE. So I would talk about that myself because that's where I have my expertise. But I need expertise from people who are using the other desktop environments. I see that there are, okay, those are comments back for Dennis. I'll go back to my shared screen here. So looking into these concepts is something I'm doing anyway, but the more feedback from members of this group and beyond, the better for getting the work done to meet people's needs. Because I can write what I want, and maybe it isn't what people want or need. But currently, I'm working on the backup topic. This is on the web as a file which you can access, but it hasn't yet been added to the appendix page because it's still in a fairly rough draft state. We went through recently looking at the command line, and several people from here, thank you very, very, very much, gave me recommendations about what to include in the command line discussion. So that is now far enough along that it has been posted as part of the appendix. The current backup information, I think, is accurate, but maybe not detailed enough. And I would love to hear about backup strategies that you have devised so that when this page is done, it covers what is routinely being done by the various people in our group. And again, certainly beyond is fine with me too. So it's at runman.org, the intro document that is linked from Dick's archive, but this current one is just backup.html for the file name to get here before it becomes more public than it currently is. Okay, that I think is plenty of an introduction to where I am, what I'm working on. So I'd love to hear feedback about it, either right now or by email. So do let me know as we move forward, and I will stop sharing, and we're back to the main meeting.
Thank you, Algot. Oh. A minute while I find the main meeting.
Because a decade ago, couple friends was starting a company back when season.
Jerry, you're breaking up badly.
A number of years ago, Ben and I started we're trying to do backups, but it got very complicated and we decided to give up. But I've done many different backups, and I have some insight to later. Did I go over or did it break up yet? Here.
Can everybody hear me? Yes. Good. Jerry, your voice is breaking up very badly. If you can get it fixed, maybe we can take it up later. But let me forge ahead in the meantime. Algott's, one of Algott's pages he was just displaying, I think the first one perhaps, had a little 4-line poem in it. And that gives me a segue. Under FOSS Fun, I want to hop down out of the way and talk for a minute. Let's see, just a minute while I try to hop my computer without all the usual excitement. Nope.
Thunderbird,
How do I get to the other?
the blue one. And then the second blue, that one.
Good.
FOSS Fun.
Thank you. Under FOSS Fun, I'm reminded back in the early days of home computers, it was a poem I learned and I still know. It's short. It goes, I really hate this damn machine. I think I'm going to sell it. It never does quite what I want, but only what I tell it. And that's the problem with computers in a nutshell. And programmers of applications spend a lot of time trying to get the program to do what you want rather than just what the programmer imagined. And that's a big tug of war for the programming. I'm involved in one of those this year in Photox, the photography program I like. That's Photoxx. I think Photox is wonderful, so great that I decided it's where I put a lot of my volunteer time to make it even better. And I think the main programmer is incredibly good, but by the very fact that I'm participating, I'm pushing him. I'm telling him to do things a little differently than the way he did it. And that's always a give and take. We like each other, but he says, you know, the programmer's got to do some work. The user has to do some work. He can't just hop in and expect it to go. And I said, Mike, what you really want is subliminal programming. So just looking at it will tell the user where to go, what to do. And Mike says, oh, I see what you want. I have a different name for it. He calls it DWIM. Don't do what I say, do what I mean programming. And he says it's the user's fault. I say, yes, that's why the user isn't an expert at the start of the curve. but it's the programmer's assignment, even though it's the user's shortfall. So we've got two phrases for it now: subliminal programming and DWIM. Welcome to the user side of designing a good program. I liked it. I liked Algott's little rhyme, same point. Okay, let's see, where am I? We're up to something that some of us have been talking about for the last day or so with a lot of interest. It's called the City Hawk Flying Car. Let's take a look. I thought programs were neat. I thought computers were neat. But I've got to admit, this would be neat.
It's not shared. It's not
Oh.
shared.
Sorry. That's not it.
You've lost your sharing window.
Where do I go?
Yeah, you're going to have to open sharing again on Chromium.
So back to here and then share.
See? Yeah.
This is not a one-step process, and
You
I'm
have to go.
just barely getting used to it. Now, this one? Yes. This is a City Hawk. It holds up to 6 passengers. It's the ground size of an SUV. It's a giant upside-down vacuum cleaner. And it flies. No wings, no tail. It flies. If you want to take it out for a spin, it's quite easy. There, I just did. If you want to go for a flight, you'll have to wait at least 8 years, but there's stuff already in the works. Let's see if I can get back from here. And if you go down the page a bit, that's where you can take the spin. There's more information on it. And there's little links that hop to other places. And for me, if I can find it, whoops. There's the not yet part. This goes to an article from Israel, because that's where they're designing and building this. And that looks familiar. Some of it won't. And this tells you about the actual project, where it's at, where it's going. You'll be able to read all about it. And that's all very theoretical. Can it work? Well, the answer is yes, it can. I can't believe how much trouble I'm making for myself in here. There's an earlier version. It's not in production either. But a one-off design or two have been flying, and you can watch the flying live.
Well, semi-live.
This is one hell of a big drone at this point. Has a lot of automatic built into it. Cross currents, for instance, will not send it into the nearest skyscraper. And this is the predecessor to the City Hawk. You can enjoy more later. I just want you to know what the tools are in here. And that's the Cormorant, which has been around a few years, getting shaken out in the air. Over 300 flights, with a lot of flight time now. And they think they've worked out the main mechanism. They're also talking about adding helium power, which may give it a longer range as well.
Helium?
I'm sorry,
Hydrogen?
hydrogen, of course. I'm out of it today.
I was thinking that maybe that was to keep it from crashing to the ground if if it runs out of gas or
Yeah, my
whatever.
comment is if you don't like 2D traffic jams, wait till you see a 3D traffic jam. And unless you're on the bottom level, you really don't want to run out of gas in a 3D traffic jam.
Bob Freeman would like to speak.
So they say they've got all this under control. We'll see.
Question?
Yep.
Question, have they tested this under
Maybe.
conditions? Have they tested this
Bob
under
Freeman.
conditions of turbulent winds or ground turbulence? Because drones have a particular problem with that.
This has a lot of automation built in. You can bet your bippy it's in Linux. And they say, and you'll see in that first description in the detail, they'll say it's handles smoothly in cross-current winds. So
'Cause
that's
what I was
certainly, now remember,
Yeah,
they want to
remember
land
that-
this, they want to land this on rooftops, and they want to land this on the ground between skyscrapers.
No, you would
They don't want to crash into a skyscraper because of a side current.
right. You would get
So,
turbulence in situations like that.
Your question is the obvious right one, and they've obviously been addressing it. Read the details, watch the trial flights. That's not the only one you can see online, but you can keep tracking as it moves forward. And it's not a finished product today. How many would you like?
I just think I've been through the traffic jams before. Can everybody hear me? I've been traffic jams. We had 4 helicopter trains in the same at the same time every day, twice a day. So
Sorry, more bad noise
Yes,
breakup. I
that's
hope we can
important.
fix that. But
I
I think the
also
bottom,
mentioned-
the bottom line is watch this page for further developments, and you can converse with the company or with an interest group of just other people who are interested.
Sherry, I suggest you
well-
log off and come back on again.
Might work. Also, this is not the only product racing for that market. One of the pieces of the market, by the way, is an ambulance. In downtown traffic, that would be the kind of ambulance you'd like, if it works. So, and if not, what the hell? It's going to the hospital. We shall see. Onward. Also, in hot hardware, I want to mention a lot of the printers we like come from
what I
HP.
wanted to mention,
What? Was someone talking?
what I wanted to mention before, if I can interrupt here, is that yeah, I'm talking. Can you hear me? Let me try to
you're
turn up the
breaking
volume
up
on the
still.
microphone here. Yeah, it was working fine earlier.
Right.
Can you not hear? Can you hear me? Can
We
you
can
not
hear
hear me?
you, but it sounds awful. You can't understand you.
Try a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. What do you mean? 1, 2, 3, 4.
That worked fine.
Now try again. Not the 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try talking.
Okay. Okay. One thing I wanted to mention is not only that I've been in 3D traffic jams before. We all did this in flight school. Israel actually developed the first military drone. So they've been in the drone business for many years.
And this company is
And
loaded
also,
with those people.
this type of aircraft has been under development for many years, including the 1960s. And of course, the technology really didn't exist back then for an automated type of system like this.
I suggest in that first article about it, I suggest you
Okay.
look at the section on our staff. You'll be quite impressed. Next topic. HP puts out a lot of printers that we like. And HP already had Linux driver coverage for the fancier tools within. The standard ones are already covered. For the latest version of Ubuntu. Now, in this article, they're announcing that they're covering all the other main Linux versions also with their custom drivers for the extra features. Thought that would be nice to know for another kind of hardware. Here's a beginner article on. Oh, yes, Charlie, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
A little louder would be good.
Can you hear me?
Nice.
Well, you lost me for a half an hour. We lost internet for a half an hour. I've just gotten back.
Oh, you sound good.
Good, thank you.
Did you have a comment or just that test?
Well, the comment I was going to make is that Hewlett-Packard has announced that it's no longer going to support the tried and true Hewlett-Packard laser jets that we've been using for the last 10 or 15 years. They're going to stop it. I think it's the last driver they're going to provide is 2022.
I'm a little confused. I think this is saying they are, but perhaps I'm wrong.
Maybe they're only supporting new ones.
Yes, I think that's what it's saying.
My guess is that they are adding new ones and taking away old.
That makes sense.
Well, in general, I'm guessing it won't much matter for stock levels of support.
True.
We'll be finding out details. You're telling me. So be it.
Thank you.
Okay. My next item, hot internet, is an easy starter article for people who want to move to Firefox from Microsoft Edge. There's a lot of good reasons to do that, and the article will cover those as well. So I recommend it. And I also want to point out it's one of a series of articles coming out from Mozilla, the company that supports Firefox. They're getting a lot of what I'd call peripheral articles, marketing articles, as opposed to technical articles. And I think that's very good. Again, way back to the beginning, we were talking about 10 reasons why desktop Linux fails. And Mozilla and Firefox, that's FOSS, they are getting in the field and telling people what the difference is, why it matters, who cares, and helping people make the transition. So that's one answer to that earlier issue. I'm glad to see these articles showing up. The next one in the same batch from Mozilla is telling you how to do Firefox picture-in-picture, which we were playing with a little bit earlier. And with our particular load today of people doing different things, it wasn't working well. We'll see what that's about. But for regular use, it works wonderfully. On your own computer, you might want to learn how to use it. And for instance, well, Jill, would you like to explain a little of it?
Sure.
Can I put you on for that?
Yes.
Should I put it up or should you put it up?
Why don't you put it up? Just go to any Firefox. Okay, this is Mozilla.org's description of the picture-in-picture, but it's very simple. If you'll go to Firefox
Itself?
in Firefox, open up a tab with YouTube.
Okay.
Find something interesting, but not too political, if you can.
Best funny dogs and cats.
Sure. So this video sort of on the side while you're listening to a podcast or something. So you go hover over the picture and you notice a little icon shows up, a little blue icon on the far right middle. And you click on it, you hover over that icon and it will say picture in picture. You click on it. And down in the corner, you get your video showing up. And then you can go anywhere else and the video will stay there on top. And if you want to,
Etc.
if you want to close it, you go down to the little window
Let me
with
try.
the video.
Let me try this one.
Oh,
Whoops! I didn't mean that. I meant that.
uh,
I opened a little more than I wanted to open. And here, for instance, is the newest of my Photobox edited pictures. And I can open any one I like, I think. Like say. And we have them both going.
now if you move your cursor down into that video, an X shows up in the upper right. You can just click on that and close it. And back to
What
your
difference does it
regular
make,
YouTube.
and who cares? Give me some examples.
Well, practically, if you're, for instance, watching a video on learning to program, you can have your program sitting in the main window and the video showing down in the corner so that you can track between them and see that you're doing everything right. My example was you want to listen to a podcast, but you really sort of want to watch the video at the same time. If it's all visual, not audio, that would work. It wouldn't work if both of them are, if you're trying to read something on one side and watch something on the other side, it wouldn't work too well. We did find a limitation in that it does not work with things that appear to be video that are not on YouTube at this point. So
I think they're working on that.
It has to be on YouTube for now.
And I have a couple of other good examples. One of them is we've been getting a lot of lightning storms lately. I want to watch a map of the oncoming lightning storm and be warned in time. But it might be 10 minutes and it might be 2 hours. Well, I want to do work at the same time. So I'll put the lightning storm map down in the lower right corner
But
and go back to work.
It does not work because it's not YouTube.
That one is an example of what wasn't kicking in right yet. And we're very interested in that next step. Jill had another one. She likes to look at cooking videos, good things to cook. And she can watch the video and read the recipe concurrently. So I think you'll find a lot of other examples where it either fits now or you're going to watch as it learns how to do more than only YouTube. Very nice tool. And I want to learn how to do it smoothly with these presentations. As we began, we had sound problems that may be related. So we'll find out more. Any questions on picture in picture? Onward. Firefox features for remote school and more. Again, this is a special from Mozilla. They're helping people at home help their kids with the at-home schoolwork, and they're giving suggestions for other things you can do, how to do them better. And I think they've got a lot of good ideas in here, including the one we just talked about. So you might want to take a look at that. You might have friends who want to take a look at that. I tossed in this one because we had friends hurting badly, I think about a week ago, maybe less. I think this past weekend, T-Mobile had some very major issues. And there's a discussion of it there. They say they're on it. I don't know if they're on top of it yet, but it'll be of interest to some of you more than others. But if you can't get through to someone or someplace on T-Mobile, that might be the clue. They are working on it. Nothing to do with free software. This one I already introduced, Hot Internet, tracking eBay's international shipping programs. One of a lot these folks in Natick do on using eBay more effectively as a buyer or as a seller.
Did you want to do the Wi-Fi repair?
No, I mentioned the Wi-Fi repair. That's good enough, I think. And let's see. I want to skip to what I think is the best one of the month. I think this is as simple and as good as sliced bread. And that is this. It's a nothing. I have one in my hand. See if I can get back to me. If I get to me, I can get to my hand. And
It's up there, Dick.
oh, thank you. If I'm lucky, I won't lose it. Why, hello, Farron in France. How are you?
Oh, you're not seeing yourself. I
How
think
do-
you have to close the.
How do I get me? Have to close the D? Probably. Is that going to do it?
No.
No.
Yeah, you're over here. I don't know why you're not seeing
Oh,
yourself. There.
okay. Well, that means you can see me. I just can't. Okay. Observe closely, ladies and gentlemen. Can you see this little nothing? It has a slider in the middle, which I've now slid to the other side. The blue is just a little tab. Wait a minute. That's.
Over here.
I'm having trouble coordinating. Whoa, pretty good.
No.
And I have to get a little further away for shorts, I think. But the tab is a little piece of plastic that you peel off, and it peels off the whole thing. And you tack it to your carefully cleaned computer screen where the little hole for the webcam is. And now you can slide the webcam open or shut.
Do it on your screen.
We have one on each of our computers. You can't see mine, but when I slide it, you'll see that it works soon. Oh, it works. And when I slide it back, I'm back in the game. Now, software control of video is iffy, what with malware, mistakes, and whatnot. There's nothing iffy about this, except audio. What I want is one to come with a pair of little tubes of earwax that go into the stereo microphone holes also. And they'll probably have that before long. This thing is just so elegantly designed. The one we got, there's different versions. The one we got, you can pry out the sliding center section to do a better cleaning in there, because it's going to be more or less permanent once you put it on. You can peel it off cleanly, but I'm not sure how many times you can stick it back after you do that. But you can pop the center section out for cleaning. They're lovely. Um, we're selling them for $2, but if you want to by mail, it's going to cost you a lot more. The thing doesn't cost anything. I'm mailing it doesn't cost anything, but we're sitting down and getting it mailed does. So we'll sell it to you by mail for $4 or 2 for $5. Either one. It's the mail that's the problem. And we still have to do the handling and the bookkeeping, and it all works out. You can also buy them online easily enough. I gave you a place to click and a name you can just search for online. We'd use DuckDuckGo to go look. You can see 100 places you can get these little things. They are really nice. On the other hand, if you don't have the money or the time, you may remember duct tape. Duct tape works too. It's just a mess. This is elegant duct tape is what it is. I love it. They are so nice. They're so thin. You close the computer and the computer doesn't notice that it's there any more than the tape. And we recommend it highly. They're neat. So if you're near us, pick one up from us. If you like to order online, pick one up online. They are really the right stuff. And again, given just that clue, just do a web search on, come on, webcam sliding shutter. I think that's about as close as anything. You'll find plenty of them that way. And if you want it from us, call it that, and we'll know what you're talking about. It's possible there's some computer it won't fit on. It's possible there's some smartphone it won't fit on, but we haven't seen one yet. We've been looking at where they do fit, and it's about everything. Interesting.
Might be a problem on our phones, which have two.
Our Android phone has a wide angle and a regular angle lens, two separate cameras in one as far as the front end is concerned. You'd mount them up and down instead of sideways to get them to both. You might like it, you might not for that, but for a regular notebook computer, this is something I think you want. We love ours. Okay. Speaking of the other end of the same game, a really good article in Security and Privacy at the end of the list on banned facial recognition technology. The Trump White House is pushing very hard for it right now. They want nothing to keep them from seeing all the messages they want to see. And that will be a disaster, as has been spelled out in this article and many others. So you can argue both sides. Yes, it might catch some bad guy. Yes, it will give away all security on the internet, and not just to the good guys, if they're good guys. So it's a disaster.
And facial recognition stuff is not, it's pretty inaccurate so far. And what they want to do is fly drones around protesters and identify them all.
So read it, make your own vote, but I think it's a major issue for our security and privacy on anything else. Once that loophole exists, it'll be milked heavily. And all the database will be there to be ripped off, as it has been over and over on the other levels that are already. So much for that. Firefox privacy features, not a total fix, but again, there's good articles on it. And Facebook container extension for Firefox is one very specific one. My answer is stay off Facebook. But I know a lot of people who can't do that.
Including me.
Take a look at Facebook container extension and see how much it can do to help and what you can do to help it help you. Finally, in that batch, 2 simple steps for securing your Linux desktop. And that's 2 more simple steps because you're also going to paste that slider on it up top if it's a notebook. It has a webcam built in, that is. There's monitors that have webcams built in, just as appropriate for this, of course. So that's my security and privacy step for today. I want to backtrack. Did I hit all the ones in all the other places?
Yes.
I absolutely did. We're running a little early. I'm going to go back to face mode when and if I can find one.
Go back to Chromium and hit D.
And I think I'm.
Cancel there.
What?
You just hit cancel.
Oh, I thought I had it and I moved.
D.
B for Jitsi. Select it and
The orange one. Start.
start it to finish it.
Yeah.
Oh. And now, D again. Is that the answer?
What? What are you doing? I thought you were.
I want to go into visual mode. Oh, I made it. What do you know? I'm all back. Okay. Do we have any other questions, comments, topics, nifty things you want to throw in before we quit? We have time. Anybody?
Okay. Suppose you want to say stop sharing.
Anybody there who would like to do anything more today? I'm seeing nobody whatsoever. Okay. Charlie, is that a volunteer or a goodbye, Charlie?
It's a, it's a volunteer. You know,
Go ahead.
not Microsoft. Yes, Microsoft announced that it no longer supports Windows 7 or Windows 8, and it hasn't for quite a while. And about every 20 minutes or 30 minutes, it throws up a blue screen on front of your whatever you're looking at in Windows 7, announcing that nothing is being supported. We think you ought to change. Well, 2 days ago, out of the blue, Microsoft downloaded Microsoft Edge onto my Windows 7 without any announcement at all, just installed it. And I thought that was rather ironic.
I might resent it. I might not. Were I running Windows, that little sliding shutter I recommended absolutely solved the question of whether people are looking at you. I have a solution like that for Microsoft Windows too, and you know what it is.
Don't use it.
Linux is free. There's a lot of it, a lot of flavors. We recommend the Ubuntu,
Yes.
but there's a bunch of other good answers too, and they don't cost money.
Well, I merely mentioned it as an interesting observation when Microsoft said it was not going to support it anymore. And then all of a sudden, it provides support for its browser.
No,
Well, I
wait.
have a suggestion on that. And my
It's-
thought is that they are doing something automatically and they just had it programmed to do it before, and so it's just doing it, and nobody at Microsoft knows what's going on.
And I have another suggestion. I don't know which one is apt to be right, but another thought. Microsoft is losing people, and they want to hook them back up so they can call and ask and talk, and they want to have a browser of their own to do that with, where they can track you. Could be, I don't know.
Well, also, updating the browser is not the same thing as updating the operating system.
Right.
This
But it
is
might be a way to hang on to people instead of slicing them off. They didn't say they were going to shut you off. They just said they wouldn't keep you clean of malware, give you the latest adjustments and
Yeah.
improvements,
Yes.
and charge you the next year's subscription fee, which is what they're moving to. So they want the subscription fee for that. Anyway, I like their sales pitch. I think it might be a good Linux sales pitch, but to get FOSS all the way instead of half the way. And I think you'll like it. But meanwhile, an awful lot of what we talked about today does work on other operating systems. The programs or their close equivalents will run on the other system. You don't have to get kicked off instantly, but me, I hope you will.
Thank you.
Other comments? I had one last one then before we say goodbye. First of all, I want to thank the people who helped put the talk together today. Second, and I wanted to show you something. Maybe I'll save it for next month. I showed you very quickly. Maybe I can do it now. Let's see. I went into a 4-window mode,
It's not showing up here, Dick.
which hopefully I can go to now. Can't I click a D in it? Do I have to be here for the D?
Be here for the D.
Let me go back out and do it. You're not seeing it yet. Okay, who do I have to? Here we go. My entire screen share. I'm going back into that shared screen mode. And now I'm going back, and you can see it now, going into that special mode. Because I can go into any of the other workspaces just as well. And what I wanted to say is months ago, I was planning to put this on our Try Linux PC computer in the Natick Community Senior Center. Well, it's been closed. I think it's about to open. So maybe we'll finally get there with this. I don't know if we'll be meeting there right away. I think our group is big enough, and I'm certainly going to wait for strong assurances before I propose we meet in person.
Hope you guys keep doing virtual so I can sit in.
We will keep it, yes, thank you. And we'd like to spread that too. If you know how to spread that, you can tell people after the fact, take a look. If they're people
I'll tell
you
the
talk to.
Libra Miami group down here.
Excellent, excellent. And this is just an example. I put this together using Photox, by the way, just using add-on text capabilities of it. I took an image of the focal fossa, that's the mascot for this release of Ubuntu. It's a wild cat, a jungle cat, and that's a focal fossa. And it's keeping the time on my screen, and the rest of it is just stuff we wanted to say to someone stepping up to a computer, knowing nothing about it. He steps up to it, and right next to it is a loose leaf notebook filled with Algott's current intro to Ubuntu. And Algott is working on the up-to-date version, just like we're working on the up-to-date screen for the desktop to go with it. So this brings us back to where we began on that. I want to thank all the people who helped, and particularly Dennis, who's going to work like a beaver to get the video one clean and permanently up, and to Jill and me, who are going to take the rough minutes and turn them into the agenda you'll find online. And hopefully you'll see it all by later tonight. And I have one more thing to say before goodbye, and that is Farron McIntyre. I see you there. Stay on when everyone else hangs up. I want to say hello. And goodbye, all. May the FOSS be with you.
Thank you, Dick.
Thank you, Dick.
One by one.
Vicky again. Firefox too. Farron, hang in. I'm trying.